Okay, another blurring tutorial. In the first tutorial we used the blur tool. This time we're going to use some filters to do the same kind of job. I'm going to open the same file that I had last time, which is the one with the red bus in it. I'll just find that on my device, and there it is. Okay, now this time, instead of using the blur tool, which is over here on the left hand side there, I'm going to use a filter. Now the filters you access for the whole image from this menu up at the top of the filters menu, and you've got lots of different types of filters you can choose. The blur filters there, we'll see, we're going to use these guys in a second, see what they do. First of all, I've got to apply the filter to something. I've got the whole image at the moment, and I can apply the filter, the blur filter, to the whole image if you like, which does that. Now that's actually blurred the bus as well, which isn't really what we want to do. So I'm going to Control Z to undo that. And I'm going to use the marquee selection tool, the lasso tool over here. Sorry, the lasso tool, to select the bus. So if we select that one, the lasso tool, and we draw carefully around the bus, I'm using my graphics tablet here, which should mean that I can do a slightly more detailed job of it. Up there, and around there, around the wheels. Oops, not brilliant. Up there, around there. The lasso tool is great, but you have to be quite careful with it. When you get nearby the end, the start, it turns to a little square, and if you let go, you get this marching ants thing that's going around, which has selected that. Now, at the moment, the bus is selected, so I want to select the background. So if I go to select and select inverse, I'll select the background of the image rather than the bus, and then I can apply that filter just to the background. And you'll see here, if we go blur and blur more, then you see the background. Now if it's not filtered enough, you can just apply more blur to it until you've got the effect you desire. That's pretty good. Okay, to get out of the selection, if you press the escape key on your keyboard, then that takes you to there. Now, I'm going to undo that blur that I've just put on there and get back to the original image, which I think was that one. I'm going to try some of the other blur tools, just to Control Z to undo that. So filters, blur. Let's go for the other ones. A Gaussian blur is just a very powerful blur tool, and you can see there that what it's done, it uses what's called a blur radius to take a point and blur it with a radius around the outside. If you drop the blur radius to quite low, then you get a minimal blurring. If you move it quite high, you get a very, very opaque background effect. So the Gaussian blur is a really powerful blur tool. We'll cancel that. Try another one. Motion blur, interesting one. You'll notice what happens there is it looks as though the image, the background is moving downwards. I can change the blur angle here, so it's moving to the left, it's moving upwards, it's moving to the right. I can also change the distance for the blur as well, which shows you how much it will actually change. That's quite useful if you're trying to convey motion, which is why it's called a motion blur. I'll cancel that one. Go for the radial blur. A radial blur is a spinning effect, so it applies a spin effect to it. And again, I can change the settings on there to change the effect a little bit. The quality just shows you how uniform the blur is, I guess. So that's a bit like, you know, I guess an effect of like going into a wormhole or something, a bus coming out of a wormhole, I suppose. No, cancel that. And the one I think probably would be best suited to this is the zoom blur. Now the zoom blur will make it look as though the bus is coming out from a tunnel almost, and I reckon if we drop the blur amount slightly, make the quality fairly high, then we get actually what is quite a nice effect. I'll just OK that one, press escape to get out of it. Quite a nice effect, I'm sure you'll agree. Maybe you can find another image that you can apply these blur filters to. Thank you very much for watching. Good luck.